Our scripture reading today begins in Ruth 1, verse 16. But Ruth replied, "Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us." When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. Luke 6, beginning with verse 27. But to you who are willing to listen, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who hurt you. If someone slaps you on one cheek, offer the other cheek also. If someone demands your coat, offer your shirt also. Give to anyone who asks, and when things are taken away from you, don't try to get them back. Do to others as you would like them to do to you. If you love only those who love you, why should you get credit for that? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good only to those who do good to you, why should you get credit? Even sinners do that much. And if you lend money only to those who can repay you, why should you get credit? Even sinners will lend to other sinners for a full return. Love your enemies, do good to them, lend to them without expecting to be repaid. Then your reward from heaven will be very great, and you will truly be acting as children of the Most High, for He is kind to those who are unthankful and wicked. You must be compassionate, just as your Father is compassionate. And then John 3:16, for God loved the world so much that He gave His one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in Him will not perish, but have eternal life. May God add a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of His word. Shall we stand? For those of you that are interested in membership, I do have booklets today, so see me afterwards for these, and I'll be happy to pass those out to you so you know a little bit more about becoming a member. So we are on the love language series, and we are on week 3 of this. Last week we dealt with words of affirmation and quality time. And let me just throw this out. If anybody still hasn't taken the test and would like to take the test, Mary Lou and John can pass. If you want to raise your hand, if you want the test, raise your hand. And we have some for teenagers too, so it's different than parents. Anybody interested? I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. We had 3 more turned in this past week, and it's still showing the high to be the words of affirmation. So, okay. Well, anyway, curious. You don't have to respond, but I'm just trying to make you think. How many of you experimented this past week with giving out positive, kind, humble words, thus the words of affirmation, with those of you that are around you? Or the other one, the quality time. How many of you experimented this past week with giving out quality time to someone you think highly of and or love? And was it difficult for you to do this? And so if it was difficult, then that may not be your particular love language. And today we're going to look at the 3rd and the 4th love languages, which are receiving gifts and acts of service. And when you think about receiving gifts, a gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, look, he or she was thinking of me. You must be thinking of someone to give that someone a gift. The gift itself is a symbol of that thought. It doesn't matter whether it costs money or not. What is important is that you thought of that person. And probably this past week on Valentine's Day, you were thinking of somebody else besides yourself when perhaps you got a gift, or maybe you thought of someone and you gave a gift to someone else. And I know I was just horribly surprised when I got a bouquet of cookies. And I was just like, wow, I felt really special. And I know there were others that also got that. And so it's just, it doesn't matter what it is. When you get a gift, you know that person was thinking of you. And that's really special. So in receiving gifts are symbols of love. And symbols have emotional value. And I know I want to be sensitive to those of you that aren't married. And so I'm trying to make this generic. But when a person gets married, they usually get a wedding ring as a symbol of unending love. The whole symbolism behind the ring is that the ring has no end to it, and that's how marriage is supposed to be. The emotional value comes in when a marriage ends in divorce and the ring is no longer something that you want to wear, or your spouse dies and you are left with the wedding ring that signifies the love of your deceased mate. When Ken and I met, we were working in the office of a manufacturing plant for radio broadcasting equipment in Quincy, Illinois. And it was a small workforce, about 140 people working there. And here's the deal. We dated secretly. And you're going, oh, really? Well, we dated secretly because we didn't want to be the center of the gossip circles. And as we did this, we found it to be very fun and adventurous, as you can imagine. And so one lunch hour, we were going to go to the jeweler's to pick out the engagement ring and wedding band, but we took separate cars. So again, it would not look like we were going off together. And so then after getting engaged, what I would do is I would take my ring off while I was at work so that, again, they wouldn't know. And we were only engaged a little more than 2 months. We only dated a total of 7 months, and that's what you do when you're older, I guess. And then we eloped on a Monday night before Thanksgiving, and we went off on our honeymoon and came back the following Monday to work. And somehow or another, they had found out that we went off and got married because we walked in and here was this big banner, "Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Norton." So much for keeping things a secret. We think it was probably Ken's boss that let the cat out of the bag. Anyway, it was no harm done. It was a case where you could be married and work at the same place. Now, if you've ever noticed, I wear this wedding band on my right hand, and the reason I do that is because it was my mother's mother ring, which my grandpa's initials are engraved in the inner circle of the ring. So again, it has symbolism and it has emotion to it. In case you've always wondered, why does she wear a wedding band on her right hand? Well, I'm double married. No, not really. Just a keepsake. So gifts come in all sizes, colors, and shapes. Some may be expensive, others are free. Here's an interesting thing, though. If a millionaire spouse gives only $1 gifts regularly, the spouse may question whether that is an expression of love. But when family finances are limited, a $1 gift may speak $1 million worth of love. See how that can be twisted around. Gifts may be purchased, found, or made. You may be a husband who stops along the roadside and pick a wildflower to show your love to your wife, unless, of course, your wife is allergic to wildflowers. That would not be a good thing. Or you may be a husband who buys a beautiful card for your wife, or even make a card for your wife. Or maybe you might be a husband who sends a text message saying, I love you. And that works as well. I know those times when I get a text message from Ken saying, I love you, just in the middle of everything going on, or it seems like quite often he sends that when I have a lot going on, and it means so much. The idea here is to find the way, or a way, that will be your connecting point with another person. All right, gifts and money. If you become an effective gift giver, you may have to change your attitude about money. Each one of us has our own perception of the purpose of money, and along with that, we have emotions tied to spending money. Some of us may feel good about ourselves when we are spending money. Others of us may feel good when we are saving and investing money. And if you are a spender, you will have little difficulty purchasing gifts for the person you care about. But if you are a saver, you will experience emotional resistance to the idea of spending money as an expression of love. Your thinking could be that you don't purchase things for yourself, so why should you purchase things for the person you love? However, that thinking needs to be checked for the very fact that when you are saving and investing money, you are purchasing self-worth and emotional security. You are caring for your own emotional needs in the way you handle money. But what you are not doing is meeting the emotional needs of the person you care about. And remember last week we talked about that love tank, that emotional love tank, whether it's empty or full, and how much better all of us behave when our emotional love tanks are full. We just behave differently. So, something to think about. Now, there is the gift of self. And this could also be known as the gift of presence. This is being there when the person you care about needs you. To the person whose love language is receiving gifts, this will speak loudly to that person. Physical presence in the time of crisis is the most powerful gift you can give to a person whose love language is receiving gifts. Your presence becomes the symbol of love. Remove the symbol and remove the sense of love. Almost everything ever written about love indicates that at the heart of love is the spirit of giving. For instance, we read earlier John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. All 5 love languages challenge us to give to the person we care about, but for some, receiving gifts, visible symbols of love, speaks the loudest. At the heart of the matter, it boils down not to monetary value, but the fact that they gave a gift. They gave something. Then secondly, the other one is the acts of service. Acts of service. Let me define acts of service first of all. And it's when you do things you know the person you care about would like for you to do. You seek to please that person by serving him or her, to express your love for that person by doing things for that person. Now, what Ken and I find, we haven't done this test recently, and I think we need to just to see where we're at. But I know this past week, I can't remember what it was or what day it was, but what we did, we were so consumed in trying to please the other one that we kind of went past each other. And I was like, whoops, that didn't quite work right the way it was supposed to work. But still, we were showing our love for one another. It's just that we didn't quite coordinate. Well, to give you a list, you're going to love this list. It's either going to be grueling for you, or it's going to give you some ideas what to do around the house. All right, here we go. Ideas of acts of service. Cooking a meal, setting a table, washing dishes, vacuuming, cleaning a commode. Getting hairs out of the sink, removing the dirty spots from the mirror, getting bugs off the windshield, taking out the garbage, changing the baby's diaper, painting a bedroom, dusting the furniture, keeping the car in good operating condition, cleaning the car inside and out, cleaning the garage, mowing the grass, trimming the shrubs, raking the leaves, dusting the blinds, walking the dog, changing the cat's litter box, changing water in the fish tank or bowl, making coffee. These are all acts of service. They require thought, planning, time, effort, and energy. If done with a positive attitude, and I have to say positive attitude, they are definitely expressions of love. Now, love cannot be demanded. We can request things, and I know we talked a little bit about this last week too, how we can request things of each other, but we must never demand anything. Requests give direction to love, but demand stops the flow of love. Rather, what we could do is make a list of 3 to 4 items that you would like to see happen by someone that lives with you, or this coming week. Just 3 or 4 things, and that would be one way of getting that acts of service going. But please note that our actions are influenced by the model of our parents, our own personality, our perceptions of love, our emotions, our needs and desires. So there's a lot to influence that. And how love is a choice and cannot be coerced. When we criticize each other's behavior, we get absolutely nowhere. Criticism and demands tend to drive wedges. Wedges do not lead to expressions of love. A spouse or someone close to you that has certain criticisms about your behavior can give you a clue as to what the other person's primary love language is. In other words, people tend to criticize another person most loudly in the area where they themselves have the deepest emotional need. Then their criticism becomes an ineffective way of pleading for love. And you see that. You see that in people. Just, you can tell that love is at the root of what they're looking for, and they're not finding it, as the song goes, finding love in all the wrong places. And if we can understand this, it may actually help us process their criticism in a more productive manner. And quite often, criticism needs clarification. Criticism needs clarification. We may need to understand why something is so important to the other person. Is the person you love, are you treating them like a lover or like a doormat? Here's an example. Suppose a wife says, "I have served my husband for 20 years. I have waited on him hand and foot. I have been his doormat while he ignored me, mistreated me, and humiliated me in front of my friends and family. I don't hate him. I wish him no ill, but I resent him and I no longer wish to live with him." Well, let's look at this. The wife has performed acts of service for 20 years, but it has not been expressions of love. Instead, these acts were done out of fear, guilt, and resentment. Okay, let's define a doormat. A doormat is an inanimate object. You can wipe your feet on it, step on it, kick it around, or whatever you like. It has no will of its own. It can be your servant, but not your lover. And that is why it is so important to be treated well in any given relationship or friendship. I have to give a little family illustration. I have a niece that's 12 years younger than me, and her marriage was not a good marriage, and she ended up finally divorcing her husband, which her 3 children started being happy after she divorced this man. Well, so I'm counseling my niece, and I said, it's important as a woman that your man treats you like a queen. And I don't mean that in a wrong way, but there's something about that. Just you need to be treated like a queen. And so she has 2 daughters, and every opportunity I got around family, these 2 daughters, I would say, you've got to be treated like a queen. It's very important that the man you marry be treated like a queen. Well, I am happy to report that these 2 daughters are now married, and guess what? They have wonderful husbands. And I think that's marvelous, because sometimes things can get passed down one generation after another, and you wonder if there's ever going to be a cycle break. But to me there was, because these 2 daughters chose to find men that were good to them. Now, let's talk about manipulation for a moment. Manipulation by the use of guilt. For example, if you were a good lover, you would do so and so for me. That is not the language of love. Don't buy into this. Fear is also an alien to love. Again, for example, you will do this for me, or you will be sorry. No person should ever be a doormat. We may allow ourselves to be used, but remember, we are creatures of emotion, thoughts, and desires. We have the ability to make decisions and take action. And here's something that I want you to really always know. And I don't know your situations necessarily, but when we allow oneself to be used or manipulated by another person, that is not an act of love. Instead, you are allowing that other person to develop inhumane habits. But this is what love says. Love says this: I love you too much to let you treat me this way. It is not good for you or me. Okay, keep that in mind. I love you too much to let you treat me this way. It is not good for you or me. So your challenge this week is to observe the 4 love languages that we have been studying about over the last couple of weeks. And I just want to challenge you to see these love languages in action, in motion, with those that you love, whether it be your family, your friends, and just see if the love tanks are being filled, or if your love tank is being filled how it should be. So let's turn to hymn number